pop, pop, bang.
Would you look at that, it's Battle Cabot, and I'm also a week late. Even though I'm pretty much repeating what a lot of other people that do Evolve content do, a lot of you seem to come and watch this anyway, so thanks for that. Thanks for choosing Grizzle as your dedicated Evolve content creator. So like all of the other videos I've done with variations, I'm briefly going to go over what Battle Cabot does and what I think about him, and then we'll move on to some other stuff that's been added to the game which is got a lot of potential, but I think a lot of work needs to be done. I have to say Battle Cabot has probably got one of the most complicated kits out of any support. I mean, you've got so much to do, and you know, you've got to know when to deploy stuff. Honestly, he's got a very high skill cap. Do I think he's viable? Potentially yes, with the right medic, but I don't think he's a very safe pick, which I think is why, unless you're just having fun and, you know, playing Evolve for fun, and not playing it competitively, you know, Battle Cabot at the moment, I'd say it's unlikely to be picked. Briefly going through his kit, the photon cannon, you get 6 shots, and you know, it does moderate damage. You also can zoom in like a sniper, which is pretty cool. So it just goes to show that, you know, Battle Cabot's meant to be used from quite a distance. The solar blast is just simply one big explosion. It does, you know, about 300 damage, which is pretty moderate, but the cooldown on it is really quick. So you can throw this down like, you know, several times in a dome, and to be honest, it's something you should consistently be using throughout the game, not just for damaging, but you can use it to also boost yourself forward. As of now, that might change in the future. I don't think it will though, which is pretty useful. I feel like the deploy time could be a little bit quicker to compensate for his other 2 abilities, which I'm going to get onto in a second. I've been using it for evading as well, which is pretty useful, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Battle Cabot in that sense, but you know, that is a really useful tool, and I think will have a lot of potential when there's a lot more to be offered in Evolve Stage 2, if that makes sense. So like more characters and more sort of, it's a lot different comps to choose from, different perks to work with. I did cover this briefly in my last video, but the projected shield burst is one of the things that makes Battle Cabot very sort of skill based, and you know, instead of a normal shield burst, having to shoot a projectile at the person you want to shield kind of makes it pretty difficult, especially since there's a travel time on it, and you know, if you can't consistently keep your team shielded when they need shielding, you know, it makes Battle Cabot really unviable. I mean, you can sort of obviously predict certain ways, but it's very risky. And with competitive Evolve, you want to be taking the safest comp you can possibly take to try and secure a win. He does become a pretty viable pick if you take a really strong medic like Paladin Parnell, but obviously you want to save him for a stronger support, which is my point. But, you know, I think Battle Cabot still has a lot of potential, and I'm interested to see if they will sort of spice him up a bit, because I know the devs like to just throw random shit in certain characters and buff and nerf them in certain places just to see how it plays out. So, I don't know. His final tool, the Orbital concealment. So, essentially an orbital that comes down and it cloaks everyone in a certain radius for a short period of time. I know they were trying to go away from supports having the cloak, but this is nowhere near as good as it was on Legacy, and to be fair, it's just about right. I would say that it needs to, 1, be deployed in far quicker, because it just takes way too long in my opinion. It has also been a little bit buggy because it does catch on rocks above you, and sometimes it does get deployed onto the floor but doesn't work at all. I'm pretty sure they're going to be aware of that issue, and hopefully they'll have that fixed by next patch. Like with any new character, he's going to be getting a lot of changes over time, I would have thought, and I'm interested to see where they do take him, because I actually do want to see Battle Cabot get used in the tournaments and stuff on Sundays or when we play. Because I actually really do like him. I just think he's a little bit too risky to take right now. But if you do want to see some tips and tricks from our support, MonkeyBot, he's done a video on it, and he does loads of other videos on tutorials and characters in general. I'll leave a link to the video in the description if you want to go watch that. Moving on to the other content that's actually been added with Battle Cabot, crates have now been introduced into Evolve. Now, it's quite cliche now for most sort of multiplayer games to actually have some sort of case or crate where you can get sort of cosmetic items in, and Evolve have decided to follow suit with that, which to be fair, I wouldn't count as like copying or anything, because so many games do it now. I mean, Call of Duty does it, Counter-Strike does it, Overwatch does it, you know, every game just seems to be following suit with this kind of trend. Although I think they need to do so much more with the crates to actually make them more interesting, whereas at the moment, they're a little bit boring. Well, it's a little bit boring for someone like me who owns most of the content that's in Evolve at the moment. For someone that's completely new and can earn so many different perks so many different badges and skins, I would say it's probably quite exciting. At the moment, you can buy basic and premium crates, and then if you play any of the map variations, you have a 10% chance of getting one of the cases from those maps. I think Turtle Rock have a really huge potential to make crates really epic, but I'm interested to see if they take the route that I want them to take, and also the similar route that a lot of other games have done with cases and crates. What I would personally like them to do is do something similar to Counter-Strike, for those of you that are familiar with that, and actually create a marketplace, except don't involve real money other than being able to buy certain crates. Everything else I think should be done by buying and selling items with keys. I also think, like in other games, they should make it so that every item, like skins, have a value in keys and then also a rarity. And so you have like a really small chance of getting a fucking epic skin that very few people in the world have when you open a crate. I think that sort of feeling is what makes people want to open and buy crates in the first place. But then to take it one step further, you can actually sell all your items. So if you have a skin, it'll actually be worth something in keys, and if you don't want the skin, you can simply sell it and then use those keys to, I don't know, buy a character or buy a different skin. I think it's things like that that could really keep the game fresh, and it's been so successful with so many different games. And I know Counter-Strike do betting with skins on CSGO Lounge, so you can actually bet on competitive games. I think as long as you do it with keys, and so you're actually not involving any real money, so it's not actually gambling, it would be really epic for that to also take place. So on weekends when tournaments come out, you could actually bet some of your items on a game for someone to win, and then obviously, like betting, if you lose your items, but if you win, then you get, more items back or more keys back, whatever it may be. I just think there's so much potential, and I really hope they do follow through with it. Obviously, there's been loads of small adds and changes to the game, as there always is every single patch. The only way you could keep up with everything is if you obviously keep up to date on the forums, but one change that I don't think a lot of people know about, and to be honest, I didn't know about this until someone told me on my stream, is you can now use orbitals inside. And you're going to get a few people that are going to be whinging about how it's not realistic. And yeah, you're right, but to be fair, I think it was definitely a smart move. Okay, it's not realistic that you can have orbitals, especially from Hank, coming through, the roof of caves or in, buildings, but quite frankly, it's such an important part of a lot of characters' kits, and not being able to use it just because of where you're fighting on a map really can hurt the character. So although it's not a very realistic, outcome for that character, it really does help the gameplay, and to be honest, it's something that I don't think many people should complain about and just deal with. That pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about in this video, and depending on when you're watching this, as of tomorrow, Dam, or the revamped version of Dam from Legacy Evolve, should be joining us, and I'm really fucking excited to see a new map. I know a lot of people wanted it, so hopefully they've done Dam justice and really revamped it like they have the other maps, and quite frankly, I can't wait to see what they've done. Then we are seeing the return of Arena Mode, I do believe. I think the revamped version of Wraith actually might be coming through pretty soon as well. I'm not quite sure when. Again, I can't really comprehend the amount of new content that Turtle Rock are still working on, and you guys have yet to see. So again, I'll make sure to keep you updated on all that content coming. Before I end the video though, a lot of you know that the new Ice Behemoth variation is going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. A really talented artist called Spetsnazer, I'll leave his Twitter in the description if you want to go follow him, actually did a realistic sort of representation of what the new Behemoth is going to look like, and I think he's been pretty spot on with the concepts he's done, so it gives you an idea of what's to come. I thought that was really, really cool. But otherwise than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I guess I'll be doing my best to try and get out what I can. A lot of you know my situation. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.
X gon' give it to you. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop-out and stainless steel. Go hard, getting busy with it. But I got such a good heart that I make a motherfucker wonder if you did. Damn right, and I'll do it again. 'Cause